Oh, hello, and welcome to the Rollwise Podcast Actual Play. I'm sure there's a there's a simpler way for me to do this, but yeah, today we're doing our actual play because we're streaming live, so all this is recorded for posterity. Um, God, now I lost my train of thought. Whatever. But today we're actually going to be continuing our Call of Cthulhu. Nope.
Nope.
Train wreck bears.
Cthulhu Confidential.
Cthulhu Confidential. We're going to be continuing Cthulhu Confidential. I think we're getting close to wrapping up the game. So I think that's kind of exciting to see how this goes. And I think the debrief on the game is going to be really interesting because I have a few thoughts that have bubbled up over the course of playing this as to what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and a few other things. But before that, I think there's something really important that we get to celebrate today. And I don't have a party popper or anything like that, but we hit 500 subscribers.
We did
That is
today.
so awesome. I'm not really like out for internet points or anything like that, but that's just like a really cool thing that people have joined in, watched the videos, and all of those things. And we really want to say thank you. That's cool.
Yeah, it's a big milestone for us. Just doing this kind of as a hobby and for fun and to involve people. So it's been a big thing.
Yeah, and so a big thank you. Not only have we enjoyed doing this, but we've also learned a lot, from the people that we've met along the way. We really want to say thank you to everybody that's jumped into the comments. Thank you to the people that we've met and talked to. I think it's fun. I think
Yeah, it's
it's a
been
lot of fun.
fantastic. Yeah, it's been a fantastic journey. So
So,
hopefully we can hit 1,000 in 2025.
oof, that's a lot, but I think it's doable. But needless to say, I think that 2025 is going to be another fun year. We're really going to keep on going and expanding our knowledge, learning the stuff that we need to learn about role playing, making it better, but still making it our home table. We're not. I don't think we're going to ever really get the production budget, set up a studio, do.
Well, things will get better, but the idea is always going to be to make you guys a part of our game. So I think we'll continue that. But some things will get better as we learn things and
Yep.
stuff. So
Yeah, and I need to reorganize my bookshelf. Picked up some books at my friendly local game store because they were on sale. And I have to say that right around this time, if you're going to put stuff on sale and you're going to make it so that I have to search for the best deals, I'm all in on picking
it's a
through the piles of
it's a
books to find.
it's a tactic. It's a tactic to get you to buy things that you might not know you wanted.
I want a lot of things. That's the problem. So you don't need to tell
Yeah.
me what. I just need to
But I
find
mean,
the best deal.
when you're searching, like when you're looking, making people look is one of those things where it's like, oh, this looks cool. I'll get this too, and I'll get
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Yep. So I got me some stuff. I got Codex of Worlds, Broken Compass, and Vast Grim, all for very much discounted rates because it is the season, I guess. And really excited to pull those out.
Vast pretty cool. Vast Grim's pretty cool.
Yeah. So Cthulhu Confidential, session number 5. It's been a week, so we apologize that we weren't on last week. What?
It's been 2 weeks since we did the last one, so we skipped a week. 2 weeks? 1 week?
Oh,
whatever.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I was like, it's been 2 weeks. No, it hasn't.
Yeah.
We just missed 1 week. I get what you're saying now.
Yeah. We did miss 1 week, but yeah.
Yeah, we missed a week. So we are now back on track. We are in the holiday season, so just want to let people know that if you are interested in watching our live stream and stuff like that, we probably won't be streaming towards the end of the year as our last. Either we'll might be able to sneak a stream in before the end of the year, or we might just pick up again next year when we hit 2025, obligatory kazoo sound or whatever.
Fireworks.
And then what's that?
Fireworks.
The fireworks. And then we'll get back to posting videos regularly and stuff like that on games, on topics related to role playing. Might even try to look at and see what the best zines are out there. Who knows? 2025 is full of possibilities because it hasn't started yet.
Indeed.
So, okay. So let's go ahead and I guess get this party going. So kind of the summary of where we were, just to kind of remind both Brent, myself, and everybody that's watching, is that of course if you're coming to this series and this is the first episode you're catching, we have linked the first episode of the playlist in here, so you can kind of go back and watch that one. That would be probably a good place to start. But if you're like a little bit of a background, at least as to the recent history of what's happened, are you ready, Brent? I'm going to read this off. Ooh.
Yeah, go for it.
So, as you're really pulling kind of these tangled threads of your investigation, you've had some details surface now. Your probe into Phil Block led you to kind of a significant find. Helen had approached him for Whitey's books, Whitey being the casino owner of the Allegria, and which he seems to have handed over for the promise of companionship that never really materialized. And there also was the nosy Franz Spielman, who trailed her with kind of a disturbingly obsessive gaze. Seemed to have a lot of perverse, voyeuristic pictures of ladies. Let's
Or
just
he
say
was just a blackmailer.
could be just a blackmailer. It's true. You did have a chance to, meet up with your contract, Dr. Virginia Ashbury, and she had confirmed that the camisole did have blood on it. It was not some other thing, although whose blood is up for debate. Very likely Helen's, but unable to be confirmed at this time without a match. You did actually visit with Greta Odomar, kind of a newer movie star on the scene, who happens to have bunking in her guest house, Franz Spielman. Um, Searching his place to kind of get a better idea of the things that he's been into, you did find some burned photographs in the fire, letters that seemingly were encoded in German, and a hidden key that led you to a safety deposit box at the Security First National Bank. Inside the bank, you did find explicit photographs of Greta and her former girlfriend, voyeuristic images of Helen, and just overall blackmailing type stuff. You did also surveil the magazine company, known to be kind of a mob front for the system, or not the system, but the other
The
mobby
other
types.
the
Yeah,
other
the other
people.
mobby types that are trying to muscle their way into the West Coast, and you did see a couple familiar faces while doing your observations. The ones that seemed to peel off in a car, leaving the scene of the Allegria after a car had exploded. And of course, at the Deacon residence, you presented Margaret with the blackmail material, which she may or may not destroy. You're not exactly sure. Um, and you kind of discovered that for whatever reason, Helen had a jar with some sort of alcohol in it. The alcohol seems to be either handmade or hand labeled, at least, and it had been dated for a little over 3 months ago. So turning your final leg of your investigation last time turned you back to the Allegria Casino, and you found yourself looking for some help there. But when you actually asked for Burl, it seems as though Whitey wanted to see you in his office.
Well, actually, what I went back for was to pay off my debt, I believe.
Uh, Did you? Was that the reason? I don't remember. You went back to pay off your debt, but instead Whitey had asked you for the office, and you discovered, and that's when you discovered you're asking for Burl. So with an iron grip on your arm, some of Whitey's muscle is taking you to the back room to see Whitey. So that's kind of where we're starting. Do you have any questions before we begin, Brent?
Mm.
Okay. So how do you get taken back to Whitey's office? What kind of captive do you make?
I don't know. They just grab me and I just walk back there. Like, I don't really assume I'm a captive.
You just kind of like the tight hand on the arm. You just kind of follow along and get taken to it. No
Well,
wisecrack
yeah,
comments from
like
the hard
no,
detective.
no. Dex hasn't been that yet at all. So, yeah, I do kind of shrug out of his grip and just follow, like go when he tells me to.
Okay. All right. So then let's go ahead and get to Whitey's office. So Whitey's office is not changed at all, other than the fact that Whitey, since the last time you see him, seems to be a little bit more stressed. He's got like his top button undone. He's not wearing a any kind of bow tie or anything for the um, for the crowds or anything like that. And he doesn't seem to welcome you back with that same, at least, acquaintance friendliness that he had the first time that he had come through. And he kind of like, as soon as the muscle kind of brings you into the office, kind of deposits you in a chair, and Whitey dismisses them, and he's like, Dex, seems like I've seen you quite a bit these last few days.
Well, I came to pay off the debt that I owed the casino, so you were gonna see me to do that.
Okay. Well, because I do have some questions for you. You know Burl quite well, don't you?
Hmm. Well,
Well,
not quite well. I mean, I know him.
yeah. Well, it seems like Burl has gone missing, and it seems along at the same time that not only you show up at my place, but I got people that say you've been down around Pico Street, and I don't think I need to tell you what that tells me, but seems like an awful lot of coincidences lately.
That's where the warehouse is, right?
Mhm.
Well, I told you I'm investigating the kidnapping, and there is a chance that they're related, that that warehouse is related. So I was checking it out.
Hmm. And you're not working for these East Coast guys.
I told you who I'm working for.
How can I believe you though, Dex?
What? Why would you believe anything otherwise?
Hmm. So you don't know anything about Burrow's disappearance? You don't know who would have taken him, why would they would have taken him, or anything like that?
No, just like no one knows who took Helen.
And you haven't turned up anything in that regard then?
Not no, except everybody seems awfully unconcerned for the most part. But no, I haven't really. There's some leads, but nothing concrete.
Okay. And he kind of looks at you like kind of anticipating, well, what leads?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I'm not gonna fill him in on everything. I do. I will let you know though that those two guys. I did see two guys speed off after the explosion last night. Last night? That was last night, wasn't it? The explosion last night, and I saw them at the warehouse while I was checking it out.
Hmm.
Same two guys, same car.
Oh yeah? What do you know about these two guys?
That I saw them here and I saw them there, and that's it.
You can tell he's just like, there's got to be more to it than that. So he looks at you, and he kind of like kind of with that, he's kind of decide what he should do at this point, because a um you know not only has he had an attack on his business, but he's had an attack on his people, so he's kind of in a little bit of a strange headspace, you can tell. um so
Why
how
does he? Why does he think? Why do you think Burrow was kidnapped when you think Helen just wandered off?
well and with Helen, he tells you again, when Helen left, she was prone to her wild fits and everything like that. And I had a lot of distractions at the time. And you know the kind of distractions I'm talking about. I have kind of a people muscling in from the East Coast. So it didn't matter to me as much when I heard that she had gone missing for a few days, until it became obvious that she was really missing. And then when she turned up back at her family, he left her with her family because he thought she would be safer there. So I mean,
But I know.
I'm
But
trying.
why? Why do you think Burrow didn't just wander off? Decided he wanted a new life.
Well,
Went
because
to
his wife
Vegas.
told me that obviously he didn't return after he escorted Bing back last night. So that's why I know he's just not wandering off. Burroughs is as much of a family man as you can be.
Sure. So I tell him, what do you want?
Well, I he's like, well, I got a thorn in my side, and I need to find out what happened to Burrow. So if you're not involved, and so in this case, in this kind of game, I think what you would typically do is you would say like how the game would want you to do it is you'd be like, okay, well, I'm going to try to reassure him, and that's one of your abilities, right? Is reassure. So I'm going to use a reassurance to
Oh,
tell somebody
sure.
that I'm not the person that is I'm not the droid you're looking for, right?
I wasn't aware that's what you were looking for. So,
No,
but
I'm just
yeah,
saying,
sure.
but like so when you try to de-escalate, those are the kind of things that it looks for like, well, how would you try to de-escalate him? Well, I'm going to use my reassurance to try to invoke it that I am not the guy that he's looking for, or I'm not involved in the disappearance of Burl. Um, and so if you're trying to de-escalate Whitey from this position, what would you do to try to either get on his good graces, de-escalate him? Like, what do you think you can do in this case?
I've already told him everything I know what to tell him, so I don't know what I would do more than that. Why does he think I'm involved?
Like I
His
said,
his
he saw you down
his
at
his,
the.
his layers of reasoning don't make any more sense. Don't make any sense.
Well, he thinks he's like he's not sure he knows you're involved, but like I said, he saw you down at Pico Street, and he's just making long distance connections, or
Yeah,
at
of
least.
course and of course I was in Pico Street because I was down there scouting the warehouse trying to figure out who kidnapped Helen. So I don't know why. I don't know how he made that connect. I don't know how he made that connect. I mean, yes, he saw me there, but he didn't see me go inside. He didn't see me talk to anybody.
Well, and he didn't see you either. It was secondhand information.
Well, whatever.
Yeah. So he got guys told him that you were down there.
Who also were, how does he know one of those guys weren't down there? Or how does he know one of those guys aren't involved since they were down there?
I don't know. He doesn't know a lot of information at this time. He's
So
trying to
these
put
are
it
the same,
together.
these are the questions that Dex is posing to him as he's trying to accuse me of being involved.
Well, he understands, and he appreciates you pushing back on his logic. No. So if you're looking at it, he's he understands that you're looking into this case and you're looking out for Helen to try to figure out what happened to Helen. So with that in mind, he is going to ask that if you hear any information on Burl, that you let him know, like, what's going on with Burl. Um, you got to protect your people, and Burl was a good guy. Even, I mean, may have worked in shady work, but he wasn't a bad guy. Not at least some of the other bad guys. Let's just say,
I always liked Burl, is what I say.
yeah. Um,
And if
so
I find
with that,
anything out, I'll let you know.
okay, he's willing to accept that, and he's willing to accept your payment to clear your
Yeah,
debt.
and I put my money on his desk. Yes.
And he's willing to accept the payment to clear your purse. So yeah, with that, he doesn't seem to have any more information that he's looking for, other than he wanted to seem to try to clear up any connection you may have had to Burl's disappearance or um, anything like that. So, do you have any things for him?
No, he doesn't
Okay.
seem super helpful. I do make sure he's aware that those two guys, though. Like, I don't remember if I took down their license plate number or not, but I do um give whatever information I have about them
Okay.
to him.
Well, he takes down some notes, whatever you're able to provide him. Sure.
So that's it.
Gang war incoming.
Yeah, that's fine. He can blow up their car. I don't care.
A car for a car is what you're
Yeah.
saying. All right. So, okay. So once you're released from Whitey's office, what are you planning on doing?
I was gonna. I was actually. Oh, I probably would have told Whitey that I was actually gonna head back to the warehouse because I was gonna try and bribe the guard to let me in to look around.
Okay. Are you going to head back tonight then? Is that what you're
Yeah,
planning
that
on
was what
doing?
I was gonna do before I was roughly escorted into his office. I was gonna drop off my money and then go back to the warehouse because I had time to kill.
Okay. Well, like I said, he requests politely that you give him any information that you find on Burl and all that stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, he's been so polite so far.
Yeah. You know how it is. Hot under the collar. Is that the word?
Probably, sure.
Okay. So going back out into the casino, do you have any other pieces of information you're trying to find out from the casino while you're here, or do you?
Mm-mm. No, I think I just came back just to make sure they didn't know I didn't owe them any money anymore. Was my goal. So I'll get a cab and go back to the warehouse. What time is it now?
You have cab money. It's not too late. I mean, you just kind of had waited to, when you were done with Margaret's and everything like that, to come out here after, kind of when night fell. So it's probably pretty early, like 8, 9 in that range.
Okay. So I'm gonna go
But
back
what
to
time
my
do you need it to be, I guess, is the question.
well, what I'll do is I'll go back to my office first. I'll drop off the alcohol that I'm still carrying around in my pocket, the alcohol jar.
Okay.
That I don't know what it is. I'll drop that off in my office. Make sure my office hasn't been ransacked by anybody yet. And then when it's closer to 10, I'll get another cab and go back to the. That's when I'll go back to the warehouse because that's when they all closed and left, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Eh,
So yeah. So what I'll do is I'll at like 10 o'clock. I'll drive back to the warehouse, kind of case the place again. Just kind of keep an eye out. Um, and watch for the guard. And then about 30 minutes after they close, I'll try and go talk to the guard and see if they'll let me
Um, um, kind of elderly watchman. Okay. Um,
in. Yeah,
so
money.
how would you
Like,
like money?
let me look around. And I'll reassure him that I'm try and use my, I guess, reassure him that I'm just there to look around. I'm not a cop, that sort of thing.
Okay. Well, for that kind of money, he says as long as he says just a few minutes though, like he doesn't want you in there too long or anything like
Okay.
that.
I asked, there's no one in there, right? Like, there's nowhere I need to avoid.
Now the warehouse staff all leaves and all that stuff, but you know, he basically he implied, he just don't want you in there.
Okay.
He'll come find you if you're too late.
Yep. Mom, mom's the word. So I give him $50.
So what are you doing to investigate the inside of the magazine?
I'm just looking for any signs that, like, if uh, see if there's any sign that up in the middle, not anywhere.
Truly a magazine warehouse.
Okay,
Like this,
I forgot you said
it is.
that.
It is.
There are
It is like
stacks
not
of
a.
magazines, right? There's stacks of
Yeah,
magazines.
there's
Yeah.
this. It's actually like if you look at it, it looks like you're looking at a magazine warehouse. Like they look like they distribute various types of periodicals and everything like that as legitimate business,
Yeah,
like
there's
not
pallets.
necessarily
There's
just like.
pallets of magazines stacked.
Mhm.
Gotcha. Yeah.
You
Okay.
see them stacked high and everything like that. You obviously see ways in which workers can take the magazines to and from their various stock locations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There is, however, an office that's obviously like, a main office in the building and everything like that. Um, and since it's night and everything, it does take you a moment to kind of jimmy the lock a little bit and
Okay.
get inside. Um, but when you get inside, you pretty much find that like, as you're poking around, the business itself is run like a business. You can find some books, and kind of the accounting shows that the day-to-day operations of this business is more or less pretty honest. I mean, there's nothing that reveals some sort of sinister plot or anything like that. You know, that's like that. You do I mean, you do know just from your own experience, kind of being a detective and everything like that, that really the magazine business traditionally involves a certain amount of strong arming of like the local newsstands and everything like that, sabotage against possible rivals. But that kind of thing they wouldn't necessarily have an entry in the ledger that says like,
Right.
payment for Mickey to go beat up
Yeah. Beat
Tommy
up.
the news guy.
Yeah. The newsie
Um,
on the corner. Yeah.
the one thing that does stand out, is that you do see several empty jars, in the waste paper basket. Uh, like, um, and like this is like as you're kind of wandering around looking at things, you see in one of the baskets, and this looks to be like maybe a break area for people, as you see a bunch of empty jars that are opened and smell heavily of alcohol, and they look like they're the same type of mason jar that was found in Helen's possessions.
Okay.
Almost all with very similar handwriting. I mean, you're not a forensic expert in handwriting, but
But what does the handwriting say again? Like, what does it
it's
say on
usually
the
just like a date,
Okay.
a date scrawled on it and everything like that.
Okay. And there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, like basically like at the end of shift, it looks like people are pounding these backs or sharing shots or something like that. And I mean, obviously it smells strongly of alcohol, whatever residuals are in the bottom of the glass.
Okay.
Um, I mean, I don't know, how familiar are you with alcohol?
Dex or me?
Dex. I mean, you obviously super familiar.
Dex. I mean, he probably knows somewhat about alcohol. Not, I mean, he doesn't have any skills that would indicate that, but I mean, he's a private detective, sure.
Okay. Well, I mean, so from your perspective, I mean, like, do you go into the thing and smell the alcohol more closely? Because I know that you had kind of,
Well, I try and make sure it's the same stuff, and if it looks the same and smells the same, then yeah, I'm gonna assume it's the same stuff.
yeah. I mean, it's pretty strong. It smells very akin to like rubbing alcohol or nail polish removers, so you know that it's definitely some sort of grain alcohol, kind of reminiscent of like the Prohibition days when people were just making like
Yeah,
grain
bathtub
liquor in
gin.
their
Yeah,
bathtubs and stuff like that.
toilet gin. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, probably stronger than that though. This seems like it might be a more of
Well, I
the
mean,
moonshine, the
a
way it's
lot of
made.
the alcohols that they made in like prohibition would make you go blind if you didn't do stuff to it. So yeah,
Yeah, this will filter those impurities, kind of thing.
but
Whatever.
what? But it's weird because we're not in prohibition anymore. So
No, but
um,
people still know how to make it.
I know it's but still strange. So so yeah, I make a note of so this is a connection between Helen and here.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh, and to answer your other question, there aren't just bodies lying around in the
I assumed not. I
just
assumed you would have told me that.
for the record.
Is there any of this stuff stored in like? Is there any of this stuff stored anywhere, or is it just empties?
You just see the empties here. You don't see
Okay.
any like crates or anything of it.
Okay.
So it
Um.
could just be that they ran out. It could be a few other things.
Okay. Um. What else? As I investigate.
It doesn't. There's not really anything else that jumps out at you from like just a purely poking around type of deal. Mostly, like I said, I mean, you find that this place specializes in all kinds of magazines. It looks like as you're going through
Yeah,
the
I'm gonna take one of the jars out of the trash.
okay,
Does it still have a lid? Can I put a lid back on it?
yeah,
Okay.
you
So yeah,
flip
I
it
lit
over.
it up and I head back out and I stop the security guard again and ask him if he knows anything about the jar, like where they got them.
Uh, ooh, he's like, uh, boss knows a guy that he gets them from. I think that's strong stuff. I usually don't partake as because I gotta do this long watch at night. I can't.
Right. Right. You wouldn't wanna, yeah. Do you happen to know the guy's name who's providing these, who's sharing these with everybody?
Uh, he looks and he's like, oh man. Um, But so Bud knows a guy. I think it's Mickey Cohen. I think is the guy's name that'll bring these in sometimes.
Not Mouse.
Not Mouse, not Mickey Mouse. That's a very different game.
Is it? Is it really? Um okay.
Yeah,
Okay, Mickey Cohen. I thank him for letting me look around, and I thank him for the information about Mickey Cohen.
okay.
And I head back to my office.
Heading back to your office, kind of play that detective noir music, an obligatory light rain, the street lamp flickers as you open the door to your apartment slash office. Um, as you get up, you jiggle the handle to find out it's a little looser than it was the day before,
Oh,
in need of
cool.
repair. But nobody's broken in. It's just
Oh, okay.
needs to be repaired.
Well, I actually have locksmith, so can I fix it?
Yeah, you spend a little bit of your time getting out your tools, this is tightening up some screws and everything like that, and you're like, "Ah, job well done."
Yeah,
Control the things you can control, man.
exactly.
Job well done. You kind of pat yourself on the back.
Yeah, yeah. So
All right. And then the next day, are you doing anything in preparation for the next day, or tell me how you're proceeding with your investigation at this point?
no, tonight. Nothing more tonight. I just make sure the door's locked. Go to sleep. Get up in the morning, and I'm gonna take both jars into. Well, I'm gonna go get some chocolate, and then I'm gonna take both cans into Virginia, both jars into Virginia, um, and see if she can tell me anything about the green alcohol that's in it. I'm gonna tell her I know it's alcohol, but can you identify anything else about it?
Okay.
Um,
All right.
and and just make sure it's the same stuff between this one and this one.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, so bringing the- your 2 jars of alcohol and everything like that to um
Well, one full and one empty.
one full and one empty. And she kind of looks at you suspiciously. But then of course once you give her chocolate, she obviously all suspicion vanishes and she understands, favors have been paid for. Um so what exactly would you like Virginia to tell you about these alcohols?
I don't know, whatever, like whatever. If she can identify anything that's in it, if there's anything strange in it, especially the full one. The make sure it's the same thing. Like if she can tell it's the same like make of alcohol, or like the compounds in it are the same. Just so I know, I can say Helen definitely got this from the same place that this one came from.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure the connection just by the jars, but I just want to make sure of that.
Sure. So basically, so what she does, I mean, obviously she kind of sniffs them and she gives you like a lot of superficial information about it. Um, she she basically shakes it a little bit. And then she kind of washes the full jar for bubbles and everything like that. Um, and she kind of suggests that whether if there's a high alcohol content, the bubbles will dissipate pretty quickly, and they do. So it's a fairly potent moonshine, not stuff that you would necessarily drink for the fun of it. And so just at a basic level, she's kind of able to tell you that everything that you're showing her would indicate this is probably the same person making them, and especially since the handwriting on them is the same. But she can go a little bit deeper and she can do some more tests on it to kind of give you some more information about what kind of products they are.
Okay.
She'll just need a little bit of time, but
Yeah, that's fine.
at least at a surface level, she's like, these are probably the same thing, but one's just been consumed.
Yeah, I say that's good enough for now. But if you can tell me like what the makeup might be, that might be helpful in the long run. So
Sure. Okay. Yeah. So she takes them and she like, and obviously after unscrewing the full one, she smells.
yeah, I
It's
trade
just so
chocolate for
potent.
favors.
Just so potent. Okay. And so you've got that in the bubbler, but you also know that they're probably the same person that's made both of those.
And if I ask around, so next thing is using my streetwise, I'm going to kind of ask around and find out what I can find out about Mickey Cohen.
Okay. Um, so basically Mickey Cohen, so what do you know about are you trying to find out about him as well as where he is, or what are you trying to
Just about him and like who he is, what he does, and then where he is, so I can go talk to him.
Okay. So Mickey Cohen is kind of like I mean, he's a very energetic thug. You know him as a kind of like an ex-pugilist, a bodyguard to Benjamin Siegel. You're able to find out. Um, and you know that and it's on the streets that he's not exactly the brightest one. People suspect that he's there mostly for his muscle, kind of implying that he doesn't have any kind of formal education, can't read or do anything like that. But if you need somebody taken down in a fight, he can he'll punch him real good. um, but working for Benjamin Siegel means that he's kind of working on the group of people that's trying to muscle their way into the West Coast. Which
Well, I mean, we know that
yeah,
because his shit is in their warehouse.
yeah. Um, and as for places, you find it's not exactly easy to. He doesn't stay in one place for too long, and he's not trying to like make himself very known per se. But if you with looking, you do find that there are some places that he's likely to be. So if you want to go look at those kind of things.
Yeah, I want to know where he might be, and I go kind of check him out and see if I can talk with him.
Okay. So one of the places that he seems to at least irregularly visit is the warehouse. Another place he's been seen is a place called the Coconut Grove. And then there's also a smaller kind of divey or bar that he tends to go to as well. The Coconut Grove being kind of uh, a posh nightclub where people that have a lot of money tend to spend their time and all that kind of stuff.
All right, dive bar it is.
Okay. Um, all right. So you want to find him in kind of a dive, one could say.
Yeah, I think that's probably going to be the best way I can get him to talk to me. So yeah.
Okay. So sure. After spending, I'm gonna say it's gonna take you a day or two to actually find him. So are you gonna do anything to in the meantime?
Nope, that's the only lead I have really. So that's what I'm going to do. Unless I want to go talk to what's his name about the last time he saw Burl, but I don't think I want to do that.
Who's what's his name?
The celebrity guy whose car blew up.
Oh, Bing. Big Bing. Um, okay.
So yeah, I'll do a little bit of footwork and then go however many days I'll go. Like that's my main lead right now is talking to Mickey.
I'm just trying to see if there's anything that would apply here. Actually, I don't think there's anything that would apply. Okay. Good.
I mean, streetwise would get me people who might know who he is because he's a criminal, and they
Sorry, I
might know
was
where he is.
in my own little world there for a moment. What were you saying?
Streetwise would be the skill to like ask around and find out where he is, and I have that, but
Mhm.
I don't know what else you'd want to use.
No, like you can find him. It just takes a little bit of time because he's not a guy that's necessarily trying to be found, if that makes sense. He moves
Mhm.
around quite a bit. So you kind of more you just have to kind of cruise places that you know he will be, and you eventually kind of like intersect paths
Yeah,
of
not the
where he is.
warehouse. I probably don't go back to the warehouse
Okay. Yep.
for now.
Um. So so basically, so now you find Mickey Cohen, a guy that is um kind of known to be a bruiser on the street, works for mobsters and everything like that. What is your approach here?
Oh, so the first thing, actually, I do one thing before I go see him is I do go back and get the empty jar from uh, Virginia,
Okay.
um, because I'll ask him about it. So then I'll go and find it and meet
Okay.
him.
And in the time that it takes for you to, if you're gonna let her have it for a day or so.
Yeah, she had it probably for a whole day because you said it'd take like 2 days to find Mickey. So I probably wandered around for like a day or so, then went back to get the jar, thinking if I connect with Mickey, I can ask him about it, and then
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So yeah. So she's able to tell you that she pretty much confirms that it's moonshine of and while probably every batch isn't going to be exactly the same, there are enough similarities between the batches that is probably produced using the same methods, let's say.
Okay.
So there's very little doubt in her mind that it's the same people.
Okay. I tell her she can keep the full one and use it to start fires or something. And then I take the I take the empty one.
Okay. All right. So
And then I just want to have it with me when I go meet up with Mickey.
okay. Yeah. So sure. Um going to the dive bar, it's pretty much just a dive. It seems like probably the kind of place that Mickey goes just to kind of lay low for lack of a better thing, and probably so he can have a little alone time, let's say, where he's not necessarily under the watchful eye of boss doing stuff, whatever it may be. A little bit of relaxing time.
Mhm.
It's his relaxer chair, if if you know what I mean. It's a Bluey reference, but
Gotcha. I would not know what that means, for the
yeah,
record.
don't get those too often. So yeah, tell me, how are you approaching this mob thug?
Well, first I go to the bartender and I ask him what his favorite drink is,
Okay.
and then I buy a bottle of that, and
Okay.
then I go over to his table and ask him, "Are you Mickey Cohen?"
He it says it depends who's asking. Kind of gives you that line, kind of with a
Uh,
smirk on his face.
well, I put the bottle on the table, and I say, "My name's Dex, and I just wanted to ask you some questions about somebody."
Okay. So he kind of takes the bottle and he breaks the seal and uncorks it and fills up his glass and he's like, "So, um a guy named Dex, what kind of questions do you have for a guy like myself?"
So the first thing I do is I take the jar out and I put it on the table and I ask him if he makes these or where does he get them.
Like, uh, why do you want to know? I mean, it's not illegal to have that kind of alcohol.
Well, I'm not a cop, so that really doesn't matter. But I say because I mean, if somebody wanted to get more, I would just like to know where they could get them. First off, and second off, a friend of mine had one of these that had something bad happen to him, and I'm just kind of trying to trace down, connect some of the dots as to what happened.
Who's this friend of yours?
I just shit. Why not? I just tell him Helen Deacon, and then I watch his face to see if I get a reaction at all.
Um, he's used to being talked to by people, so you notice that his face doesn't really betray anything. Like you say Helen Deacon, and he just kind of, much like a poker face, doesn't really have um, anything else that he betrays there. So he's just like, so, so Helen then?
Yeah, I do know Helen. I know her sister, and so
Okay,
I sit down at this point.
okay. And so it sounds like you're less interested in maybe where you find more of this and more about this Helen lady, right?
Yeah.
So what are you looking to know?
Well, you how well do you know Helen? Do you know what's happened to her in the last few weeks?
Uh, yeah, I know her a little bit. I bet everybody knows people a little bit in this world. She was a fast girl, and I think she was at that one joint. I can't remember the place though.
Uh, so what is it? The
Allegria.
Allegria? Yeah, she hung out with the Allegria. Is that what you're talking about, or is somewhere else?
Uh, eh, that's it. That's the place. The Allegria. Kind of kind of jumps on your story. Like, yeah, that's the one.
Um. Okay. Yeah, she hung out there, but what I'm actually looking for is information on what may have happened to her in the last few weeks. She actually just appeared about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Okay. So so he's like, yeah. Well, I mean, it and so he kind of looks at you and he kind of like look and he's like, I think that you're asking a lot of questions about Helen. What's your interest in all this?
I'm investigating. I was hired by her sister to investigate her disappearance and find out who might be responsible. And there's some connections to you, so I just wanted to know if you had any information on it.
Hmm. Well, I'll tell you this. It seems like Helen, she was both a blessing and a curse. I don't know. I don't know how much you know about her, but she kind of plays a little fast and loose with people, and it seems as though she was trying to buy her way into the good graces of Mr. Siegel. Um, but needless to say, she was also kind of an embarrassment. She was a little pushy, one could say. But I don't think it's anything to worry about too much. Um, well, and that's kind of where he trails off.
Well, I mean, she disappeared and she was hurt pretty bad. And one of the things in her collection is this alcohol that you provide to people, and that could lead to some connections that might make the wrong people aware of you.
Well, I'll tell you this. Needless to say, she was looking to make a trade with Mr. Siegel, and Mr. Siegel accepted the trade, but Mr. Siegel wasn't ready to move on said agreements, and she was kind of starting to become a little bit of a nuisance. So I know a guy. He's got he's got some of this special moonshine that he gives people to I don't know, make their memory fuzzy, let's say. She'll recover eventually, I think. But I'll tell you this. If she'd have made a scene with Mr. Siegel, I mean, really, I'm saving that girl's life. Um, her family ought to give me a medal because, the way she was coming in there, the way she was making a scene, she's lucky that all she got was a few memories lost.
That's actually quite a bit more happened to her than that, but yeah, that's why the family's so interested in finding out what happened. Um, so, who can you tell me who makes these little potions of yours?
Uh, well, there's a guy out in San Bernardino. Um, he can tell you probably a little bit more, but I doubt there's anything to really worry about. She's probably just got to sleep off the effects for a little bit. And like I said, you're lucky. You're lucky she's alive because she'd make a bigger scene than that. And
Well, she almost wasn't. Was the problem?
I don't know anything about
So,
that. All I know is she
so
got a drink and that she couldn't remember anything.
where do you know? Did you give her the drink?
No, I didn't give her the drink. Obviously, Roy takes care of that stuff for us. He helps us with a little he helps trigger some memory problems, let's say.
Who's Roy? Is this the guy that makes the stuff?
Yes. Yeah, that's the guy you want to talk to if you're looking to really pin down exactly what happened to her.
Okay. Uh, I will leave you with your new friend, the bottle.
All right. Now he kind of looks at you and he's like, if she would have been if she would have learned to keep her trap shut, she would have been fine, but she seemed to have quite the mouth on her. But you good luck there.
Well, yeah, what she did is neither here nor there. Neither here from there for me. I'm just trying to find out what happened. So,
All right. So yeah, so he leaves
leave Mickey
you.
to drink his woes away or whatever he has for a conscience.
No conscience. Just drinks. Okay.
So
So
yeah,
he did give you the address of like looks to be like a mechanic's garage that a guy by the name of Roy seems to run out in San Bernardino. San Bernardino.
uh, and you said it's a mechanics.
Yeah.
Gotcha. You gave me the address.
Gave you a close enough address location for where you'd be able to find it.
Okay. So I will head out. And it's probably later, right? You said it was like after 8 o'clock, or when did you say I met
Well,
him?
this because we had actually time skipped a little bit. It's
Right.
really whatever time. It's probably just the early afternoon.
Okay. Well, what I'm gonna try and do is again using my streetwise, kind of see if I can find out anything about this Roy person in the mechanic shop. Just any information at all about them. Uh,
Okay.
in general.
The information on Roy is pretty light. Kind of asking around and having to actually go to the area that he's in. You pretty much find that Roy came to Los Angeles as kind of a younger man, part of that flood of Midwesterners that, you know, came to the town looking for fame and fortune and everything like that. Um, he's kind of known to have been, you know, he operated a little bit in the bootlegging, kind of part of that. But the only other thing he found out is he did a stint of time in prison So he seems kind of like a small time guy, if anything. I mean, mostly it seems like he just runs a garage out in the middle of out in the middle of San Bernardino, next to
And
an old shut down oil derrick.
is it Roy's garage?
That's what it is, Roy's
Okay.
Garage.
Okay. Let me guess, they don't actually give you a name for it.
Let's see. Did they give? I thought it was just said it was Roy's Garage. Like, I mean, it's literally.
Oh, okay. I was making a joke, but
Well,
Roy's Garage, 9 to 5.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's not.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. I guess since it's still, is it before 5 o'clock now?
Yeah, it could be if you need it to be.
Okay. If it's before 5 o'clock, I'll stop into the garage
Okay.
because he would still be open then.
Yeah, and I mean, what's odd is that you basically when you get there, it doesn't look like this kind of garage sees too many customers. It's kind of out of the way, um, off the main road, everything like that a little bit. So you just kind of drive up, or have the taxi drive you up, drop you off, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when you get there, I mean, even though it would be normally open, according to the sign that's kind of waving in the wind, it seems like it's pretty much deserted. Like there's nothing here that would indicate that there's
Is the
anybody
door
operating here.
is the front door open? Like, can I open it?
Yeah, you can open it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I go inside and look around.
Okay.
I mean, there should be a bell telling somebody that I'm here, and I'll wait and see if anybody comes out.
Yeah. So basically you wait. Doesn't seem as though anybody is making their way to greet you or anything like that. But like looking around, it just looks like it's an old remote body shop. It does seem as though there's a lot more dust in here because of the nearby Mojave Desert. Um, and you think that there might be it might be one of those kind of places where there's an apartment above the body shop, just based on the setup and everything like that. Um,
Okay, I knock as loud as I can and wait and see if I get a response. If I don't, I will go behind the counter and start looking around.
okay. So after you knock as loud as you can and everything like that, you don't really see anything. Like there's no movement or anything like that. It looks like, I mean, there are a couple old dingy cars and everything in there. But as you kind of get to the actual like auto body part of the shop, where there's
Mhm.
there's a few things. There's actually a dented Nash Rambler that's kind of in the corner, and you can hear um, moaning coming from inside the trunk.
Okay,
Kind of like,
I pull my gun and I go look in the trunk.
okay. Kind of reaching for the release for the trunk. Uh, you basically like pop it open, and you see. Um, Got to take a moment for this. So you find actually Burl bloodied and bruised in the back of this tree, this back of this Nash Rambler. He's covered in like a linen bed sheet that is just soaked in blood, and you can barely recognize him. You see like from his suit that he's got, the stuff he was wearing the night that he disappeared from the Alegria when he took that. But you actually see like his skull has been bashed in, and you can kind of see it like pulsing with like just like a seeping wound that is there. Um, and so I need a stability challenge. Stability challenge with an advance of 11.
Okay, so I need to roll. What do I roll again?
So you roll a d6 for every dice you have next to your stability stat. Um,
Okay, I roll 1d6, then I'll roll another 1d6.
and you roll them. You roll them in
Roll
order.
them, roll them separately. Yeah.
Yeah. And in this case, like I said, the advance, basically the ultimate success is a
What
um
What happens if you fail a stability test?
so it depends, because an advance would mean you you succeed and a benefit. A hold means you have a hold means you neither good nor bad necessarily. You don't like fail outright. But then the setback means you have like the worst outcome possible. So a setback would be a 3 or less. Hold is going to be in the 4 to 10 range, and the advance is going to be in the 11 range. So if you want,
So nothing happens if I stay with a 7.
if you stay with a 7, there's a small penalty that'll happen in the next section.
Or I could take
A problem
a problem
and roll again and try to get an 11.
and roll again, and I reroll both dice or one dice?
No, you just add an extra dice. So when you gain a problem in this case, you actually add an extra d6.
So I need to roll a 4 or higher.
Mhm.
So there's a 1/3 chance that I'll get better than that.
And you get a problem out of the deal. I mean,
well, I mean, I already have a problem. I have bleeding burl and no car. Is it just a dented dash scrambler, or is it functioning?
you don't know if it's I mean, it's dented from the bodywork. You don't know if it's functioning. It's pretty much on blocks.
Oh, it's on blocks. Okay, that's more what I was asking. Sure, I'll take a problem this time since I haven't done that yet. What happens? Wait, what happens if I get an? What happens if I get an advance? Like, why is there a benefit to that?
So usually with an advance, you succeed at whatever you're doing, and you gain an edge. An edge being like a bonus or benefit. So really, the extra problem you get is gain problem cold-blooded.
Like, I just don't give a shit about Burl. But I guess I don't. I guess so. Right now, I didn't succeed. Like, so what happens if, like, do I just run away or what?
No. I mean, in this case, basically, you stagger back in horror because obviously the image is very horrifying. You can't help yourself. It's just like kind of like you're not used to seeing just people almost beaten to death in the back of a trunk and everything like that. However, you are going to have to roll again right now using
So
sense trouble.
I went ahead and, like I said, I went ahead and said I would take the thing. So I
Okay,
took the disadvantage.
the problem.
Yeah, the problem. Cold. So I'm cold blooded is what I have now,
Yes.
which does what
I'll post it.
for the people. What does it do?
So cold-blooded, you maintain your sanity by cutting off your empathy for others. When you spend a push on reassurance, roll a die. On an odd result, you do not gain the benefit of the push, and you discard the card.
Okay. I did roll a 13.
Okay. And so in this case, because you hit in advance, you get an edge called gallows humor. Let's see. The side ain't pretty, but now you're numb to this sort of thing. Earned edge gallows humor. And so gallows humor is what shocks and repulses other, prompts you to crack wise. Make a wisecrack appropriate to any scene, then discard this card to get a free push on any interpersonal ability.
Okay.
It's kind of terrible.
Gotcha.
So basically, you're just like, at least I'm
Well,
not that guy.
I have no empathy and gallows humor, so that's good. I just shut the door and let Burl stay there, I guess, with these two flaws. No.
Okay.
So now I need to roll again, you said?
Yeah, I need you to roll again a sense trouble. So,
oh, hey, I'm shooting at that skill too. Good. I rolled a 1 on that one, the first dice.
okay.
And a 3 on the second dice.
Okay.
So what do I have to roll on this?
So in this case, to get an advance would have been a 13.
Oh, so there's no way I can hit an advance this time.
Yeah.
But I can make it so I don't get a...
Well, and actually in this case, it doesn't have an extra problem option. so I
Oh.
can't offer you an extra problem to
Oh,
get
okay.
extra dice. So you got a what?
I got a 4.
Okay. So basically this is how the scene plays out. You go, you hear the moaning from the back of the car. You reach down, click the release on the trunk and open up the back to see a figure bloodied,
And I say, "Wow,
brain
Burl, you look
missing.
like." And I say, "Wow, Burl, you look like shit."
Pretty much you say, wow, you look like shit. And at that moment, a thud just hits you in the back of the head, like almost immediately you kind of black out. You're like you just go out 100%. You felt the pain. You don't even remember hitting the floor or anything like that. And so yeah, that's it. No, just kidding.
Okay, that'd be
so
fine.
so basically, you're not sure exactly how long it is before you wake up, but I don't know if you've ever gotten a really hard hit to the head and you woke up kind of from a unconscious state. Have you ever had that happen to you?
Yes, I have been knocked out before.
Then it was the same type of feeling, that kind of grogginess, that really disorienting, that almost like your head just throbs at first, but eventually turns into really quite painful, pounding after a few moments. And basically, what you wake up to is you wake up to the sound of a winch as you see a guy who's kind of like put you in a cage. You have been wrapped in this bloody sheet, the same sheet possibly that Burl's body was in. And you see this guy that is just literally just like chortling over you. Like, it's
Well,
just like,
it wasn't Burl's body originally. It might be Burl's body now, but it wasn't Burl's body
oh,
originally. It was
Burl's,
Burl. It was Burl originally.
it's true, true. That's exactly right. Um, and, uh, And he's just like, "Ooh, look what I caught in my little cage. What have we got here?" And it looks like we got a kind of a fine, respectable individual. What were you doing looking around my shop?
Well, I came to talk to you, but this is better, I
Oh,
guess.
and he's kind of like he's got his winch and he stops it for a moment. Oh, what did you want to talk about? I don't get much company out here.
Well, I was sent here by Mickey Cohen to talk to you about getting some of your special stuff.
Oh, my special stuff. Well, are you in for a treat? I'm about to give you some of that special stuff right now. And he kind of like, and he's like, "But what? Actually, why did you want that special stuff? What benefit is it for you?"
Well, I don't have any reason to tell you now. Obviously, this business exchange didn't go the way that it should have. So unless you're going to let me go.
Oh, we'll let you go. Don't worry, son. But I think you might have to wait a few minutes. Let's just say. And he kind of starts lowering the winch again.
Okay, what do you want me to do?
I'm just it. If you have any other things that you're going to try to say or do before you get get lowered into this apparent pit that he's lowering you into at this point.
I mean, I can't think of anything.
Okay.
I use my
So
photography skill to take his picture.
you use your photography skill. Okay. So basically, as he just kind of like you can tell that he enjoys what he's about to do, and you're not exactly sure what that entails, but you are in a very strong looking metal cage, wrapped in a bloody blanket and getting like kind of I would say it's a good chunk of the way down. Like
Right, like I'm tied too, like my hands aren't free.
um your hands are not tied.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
as soon as I'm out of sight, or at least my hands are out of sight, I'm gonna start trying to open the lock with my tools.
Okay. So as you kind of you do notice that he did take your gun, obviously, because
Well, yeah, I had that in my hand, so I
he
assumed
was
he.
like, "Oh, you look and you find your gun." No,
And
um,
he didn't know my name, so I assume he didn't take my ID. So I assume he didn't search me very well. So that's why I'm assuming my tools are still on me.
sure. But as you get lowered and as you kind of like fiddle around, you find that it's like one of those things where you imagine like the ceiling light, like, and it kind of like the light is going into this subterranean, what almost looks like a cave or something like that. But that like tapetum lucidum that animals have at night when like they like look towards light and their eyes reflect all creepy. It's just like as soon as you get down, you start hearing this um, growling sound, and you start to see these like what look like animal eyes, kind of focusing on the cage. Um, and as you kind of descend lower, kind of trying to figure your way out of the cage, you see these creatures coming into the light with kind of rubbery skin, kind of almost they have like tusks and a canine-esque snouts. Um, and they start banging on the cage, bang, 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 trying to get in.
Okay, well, I'm gonna keep the cage locked then for now. How many of them are there?
There's a lot. There's like it's a large pack of them. Like as you look, it's almost like as you're there longer, it seems like more and more of them. Like in Resident Evil when they have that scene and they're
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I feel bad for Burl and for myself. That's how I feel.
and so now you get a face full of ghouls. That's the name of this challenge. Can I have a
Yeah,
stability challenge?
I know they're ghouls, but yeah, I'll probably fail it. I rolled a 6. Oh, and I get one more dice.
Oh, cool. And it advances 9.
I rolled an 11 on that one.
Oh, nice. So basically, um, so really what happens here is that these ghoul-like creatures are literally ripping at the cage, raging like inches from your face, and it's rattling you. Obviously, you're just kind of in a cage surrounded by what look to be flesh-eating predators. Um, but you're stronger than most people, and you're not going to crack. So you get an edge. Strange, not maddening. And so this basically means you've seen the supernatural up close. It hasn't cooked your noggin. Sure, it's monstrous, it's surprising, but it still has to have a logical explanation. Spend to counter a mythos shock problem, and mythos shock problems are basically problems that have a specific mythos related slant to them.
You mean like a bunch of ghouls trying to eat you?
Well, it could be, but that's in this particular case, you actually don't get.
I get it.
Yeah, you don't actually get the mythos
I,
shock problem from this.
I understand. I'm just saying.
Okay. So basically, at this point, they kind of like come and go at the cage and everything like that, and they kind of ebb and flow. But you do see that, as they kind of like, even though they're kind of attacking the cage and everything like that, they do, it's like they start to kind of take breaks almost and everything along those lines. There is an opportunity here for you to open the cage possibly and
Make
try
a
to escape.
break for it into the darkness?
Possibly.
Sure, I'll do that. I mean, Helen had to have gotten out. This had to, I mean, in Dex's mind, this has to be what happened to Helen, and she got out somehow, so there has to be a way to get out.
Well, and so if you wait a little bit longer, you find out that as this ebb and flow happens, you find that you notice it seems like they're reaching more for the sheet than they are you.
Oh, well, I give him the sheet then.
Okay. They take the sheet off and they kind of run over to the corner and start tearing at it and everything like that. And they kind of ignore you after that point.
Cool, they want blood. That makes me feel more comfortable. Not okay. Now I'm gonna try and find a way out.
Okay.
Wait. I look above me first. It's still is the so there's a chain, right, that came
Mhm.
down. Is there a door that's closed above me?
There's not closed right now, no.
Well, how long does this ebb and flow take? Like, is it just
You
minutes
can't
or
really tell how long it takes time wise. You suspect it's only been a few minutes, but you don't really.
well, if the door's open, does it seem like I can climb the chain back up?
Mhm. You could.
That's what I'll do instead of trying to wander in this dark cave. I mean,
Okay.
Roy might still be up there, but we'll handle that when I get to it, I guess.
Okay. So yeah, so you kind of start. You're going to try to climb up silently. You're going to try to.
No, quickly, preferably.
Okay. So you kind of get out and you just kind of like gym class.
Yeah, as much as I can. I can make an athletics roll if you want, I guess.
No, you make it up.
Or yeah, athletics.
Yep. So and you actually see that because it like as you're climbing up, the sound that these creatures are making in the bottom is, I mean, it's loud enough that it actually is drowning out the sound of your chain, kind of moving back and forth. And you you could also probably guess that them smacking on the cage and everything like that means that the chain was moving anyways. Once you get to the top, do you kind of peek out, or how do you approach
Well, yeah, I try to
entering?
look out is just to try and make sure if Roy's there and going to kick me in the face or not.
He's not. He's just. It seems like what he does. He like lets the creatures down there do their business, um, and then he kind of just goes over and takes care of some other stuff. Right now, he's just kind of like working without a care at this point.
Okay, yeah, so I'll try and climb out and I guess jump Roy if I can.
Okay. Sure. You can use a fighting. Um,
Yeah, I have fighting. Uh do I have anything I can hit? Is there anything I can grab to hit him with narratively?
yeah, you can grab a wrench. You can grab.
Yeah, I grab a wrench and I go to hit him in the back of the head.
Okay. The tables have turned.
Right. I try to do to him what he did to me, exactly.
Okay. Roll yourself your d6s.
Hey, there's another one. I rolled a 6 this time.
Oh, good. So you got a 7 total.
No, I rolled a 6 total.
Oh, you're a 7. There's 6
Right.
total. Okay.
Yeah, I rolled a
Um,
1 and a 5. And if I have the option, I would take a flaw this time to roll another dice if I have the option.
no need.
Okay.
So because an advance in this case was 5.
Oh.
So basically, if you want to describe how you take this guy down, let me know, because basically you have the opportunity to deliver him to justice of some kind.
Well,
What
I
is your
mean,
plan?
basically I pick up a tire. I get out of the hole as quietly as I can as the snarling animals or things are below me, and I pick up a tire iron that's nearby and I
Mhm.
just walk up to him and bash him in the back of the head.
Okay. Well, you basically knock him out, and he is helpless at this point.
Okay. I tie him up.
Okay. Easy.
Is Burl still in the back of the car, or can I assume that he got thrown down there?
Burl is dead in the back of the car,
Okay.
but he is still in the back of
Uh
the car. It seems like what Roy did is he basically took the blanket off of Burl to kind of wrap
wrap
you in, but left
right.
Burl in place.
Okay. So I leave him tied up, and then I'm gonna go in the office. Was there a phone in the office by any chance? Okay. I'm gonna call Whitey,
Okay.
and I'm gonna tell him I found Burl,
Okay.
and I found the guy with Burl,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna give him the address.
Okay.
And then so yeah, I guess I'll wait there for him with Roy tied up because I'm not explaining to the cops whatever is underground down there. And Whitey can look himself. So I'll wait for whoever Whitey sends to show up.
Okay. Sure. And so at some point, Roy wakes up before any of Whitey's goons or Whitey himself even shows up, and he just goes. He kind of like looks at you, and he's like, "Oh, you had some fight in you, did you?" Oh, man. And so, do you have any questions for Mr. Roy before?
Yeah, I ask him about Helen Deacon and if he put Helen Deacon in the pit too, if that's what happened.
You said, "Yeah, pretty effective too, isn't it?" He says with a sly smile. Man, she was broke good.
Okay, that's all I really wanted to know. And then we just wait. I don't listen to him. He can talk all he wants. I just wait for Whitey's people to show up.
It seems as though he talks, but he talks about some fairly esoteric things. He talks like since he's just passing time, and he seems to have a little bit of a loudmouth in this scenario. He's not sure if any of the information he's saying to you is interesting to you, so he's just kind of throwing anything at the wall to see if anything sticks. Talks about the ghouls a little bit. He talks about lucky to have this place, and it would have been great except for these damn kids or something. He kind of gives you the Scooby Doo ending at the end of this. But it's not long before Whitey and a few of his muscles show up. Let's just say he does suggest you that they'll take it from here, and he offers to have one of his guys drive you back to the city and everything like that. And
yeah, I also tell him I don't know, there's like some starved cannibals or something in the pit that he's been feeding. So do with that whatever you want.
Okay. So yeah, he says, well, we'll figure it out. But he says, don't worry, leave it to me. And he kind of like, as he pats you on the back.
Oh, I also tell him he's also the one that hurt Helen. If so, make it last. And then I get in the car.
That's funny. Okay. So basically, as you piece together, it seems as though Helen did find her way here. She came afoul of, the new blood that was in town. It seems as though she was trying to double cross Whitey, though, in some way, which is
I don't tell Whitey that. I leave that part out. Basically what I'll do after that is once I get back to the city, I'll go to what's the sister's name? Margaret Deacon's house. And I'll give her the whole rundown. I'll basically tell her it sounds like she was planning on double crossing Whitey and tell her all that stuff. And tell her there was a guy named Roy who had a dungeon full of messed up weirdos. And that's probably who attacked. And that is who attacked Helen. Hopefully she gets better.
Okay.
And then I say, you don't really want to know what happened to the guy that did it. I told Whitey. He also killed one of Whitey's employees, so I figured Whitey was the best person to call to handle the situation. So
she doesn't disagree, and she's happy to find out that at least what happened to her sister. She's afraid, obviously, that her little sister is going to be broken from here going forward, if that makes sense. She's just not the same. Obviously, she's got a distant look in her eyes, and whatever he did to her down there seems like it's going to take. And of course, with that being said, now comes the epilogue. Really, at this point, it seems like the gangs of Los Angeles continued to, after you report to Margaret, you get back to your office a little bit richer than you were when you started. No longer are broke, but you find out through your contacts and everything like that really there's some powerful people at play here. It doesn't take long though to find out that unfortunately Whitey is eventually, it does seem as though at some point he disappears. And poking around a little bit, you find out that Guy McAfee has actually turned over management of the Allegria over to Siegel. So it does seem as though the powers behind the scenes at play. It seems as though whatever Helen was involved in was enough to move some pretty powerful people in ways that were a little unexpected. In terms of
I just hope for Whitey's sake he didn't vanish down a hole.
He may have. You're not really certain. But yeah, so that's the I think that in your case, job well done. You found out what happened to the poor girl. You somehow managed to stay aloof and didn't fall in love with any of the damsels in distress, which is kind of antithetical to the hard-boiled noir detective. But don't they usually like? Because I watched like Maltese.
They usually fall for They usually fall for the client usually.
Yeah,
but she seemed pretty aloof. So
Well, it was up to a die roll, is all it was, which is weird.
That's funny. She
Yeah.
seemed pretty aloof. The actress, I don't
Mhm.
know. Maybe she'll call Dex out, being she helped her out.
Okay.
Maybe not. And Helen probably is too far gone.
Yeah. And so at this point, what's interesting is that there's a there's that the interesting part about this is that there's a kind of a final denouement. I don't Is that how you say the word? Denouement?
Sure.
Um, and the encouragement is to portray the detective's emotional state in a coda scene. Um, and so like you kind of are to look at your problem cards in hand. And if you have, so basically, so
Cold blooded is my own problem. Only problem card left, I think.
okay.
So basically, the way that I'd say that Dex would, like the way that the movie would end, like the
Mhm.
noir movie that stars Dex, would be uh Dex finds out about Whitey and makes some comment of, I hope he didn't disappear into a hole for his sake, and then he's like looking at the newspaper for apartments.
That's
And
pretty.
that's how the movie, and that's how it would close. He's sitting at his desk, he puts his feet up on the desk and opens the newspaper looking for apartments with his new money.
That's funny. Uh, that's pretty funny because that seems like how your character would be. He's just like, "Yep, sucks for him. Hope he didn't trip.
Exactly,
That
exactly.
that first step is a doozy."
Yeah, and now I have enough money to get an apartment, maybe.
And hire my secretary back. I
And
can be a
hire a
real detective
secretary.
again.
Yeah, and hire a secretary.
A little macabre at the end there, but that's okay.
Well, I mean, that's what cold-blooded basically means, is he's
Yeah.
lacking, and that's one of the reasons why I didn't call the cops. I called
Mhm.
Whitey. Is like, I don't know, you see some creepy shit, like freaky world-ending shit. So
Freaky deaky. Yeah, I get you.
yeah, weird cannibal monsters.
So that's it. That was fun.
That's fun. It was fun. It
Yeah,
was
I
fun
think
and different and different.
it was different, and I think that with some more practice, I could probably run that a little bit better. I'm gonna take and run the wife through the investigative journalism one, just because I think that there's some stuff that I learned from this. And I think the only difficult part is that I think it relies on you following the tropes pretty hard to get
Mhm.
the full story. Because,
Yeah,
like, in terms of a Cthulhu story, it wasn't very strongly Cthulhu until the end for you, right?
right.
And there were only a few points that really could ramp up the Cthulhu pressure as it was written, before that point, because it was basically like as soon as you like and you had to engage in these points, like, and I think that if you wanted to engage in these points,
Like like what points? Like none of the points felt very
Cthulhu well,
like,
so
it didn't lead to a cult, which I thought it would.
well, exactly, like, so it's like and I we did kinda rush the ending maybe a little bit just because I felt like it would be better to get done with and then,
Yeah, no,
um
that's fine.
but, like, in terms of, like, spoiler alerts for anybody that's looking to run Cthulhu Confidential, the Fathomless Sleep, is that, like, so your first opportunity to really find something that's crazy is, a scene that you can trigger if you go see Margaret, and I think the trope that they're looking for you to do is that you as the detective is like, "You're not gonna tell me how to detect. I need to go see the victim so I can understand what happened to her," you know? Kinda
Oh,
pushes
right.
the
To push seeing
to push seeing
Helen.
Margaret, it's just push seeing Helen against Margaret's wishes, and
Right.
obviously, I think that's a trope that happens is that you're not gonna tell me how to detective, I'm gonna do what I want, and so, like, by them telling you you shouldn't do it, then you're supposed to be like, "Well, damn right, I'm gonna do it," or something, I don't know,
Hmm.
and so I think that leads you to a scene in which you kind of, like, you stare into Margaret's eyes and fall into you kind of fall into, despair kind of moment, right? That's supposed to be your first like, whoa, whatever happened to her wasn't normal.
Normal.
And then, of course, the second one that you run into is if you happen to bring um, the the religious woman, whatever the one that ran the Argent Light, back
Mhm.
the Clara Neville, if you bring her back to see Helen in the current state because she hadn't seen her at this point. like she just goes insane and she tries to kill herself. Like,
Why would you do? I don't understand. I guess yeah. I don't know
well,
why you
so
do
so
either.
the
But
link that you're supposed to get out of that is that you after talking to Clara Neville, if you go, okay, well, I wonder if Clara, having some supernatural connections could take a look at to take a look at Helen because she hasn't seen her and because she was offering to protect her with money and maybe you could connect.
oh, okay. Okay, I see that
Yeah, so maybe I can bring this, witch doctor as shaman to the mix
protection. Yeah.
and protect her from against what's happening now. And in doing so, she like tries to like literally jump out of a window, kill herself, kind of crazy reaction.
Helen does or
The Clara Neville does.
Clara does.
So
Okay.
she looks and she's like, oh god, oh no, and so like then she does that, and
So I
then
should have
the
taken her to Roy's, and then she really would have freaked out.
100%, yeah, you could have taken Claire Neville to Roy, but I mean the link taking her to Helen's at least exists. I don't know why you would have taken her to
It
Roy's.
was that was a joke. That was the joke. Yeah. So
Um,
okay.
then and the last thing that is to give you a little bit of stuff is that if you meet with Bugsy Siegel, like you actually set up a time to go like, hey, I know that Helen tried to give you the books. I need to understand why she did that and all that kind of stuff. When you meet him, he's playing with a rock, and the rock is apparently like he's not aware he's playing with this rock. And then like once you point it out to him, it's like he suddenly becomes aware of this thing in his hand, kind of thing. And he actually gives it to you, and it's actually like elder sign on the rock, basically. Um, so it doesn't cause you to go insane per se, but it does cause you to have a test, and it freaks you the fuck out.
Right.
And then, of course, the ghouls and caves and all that kind of stuff is kind of the culmination of those little disparate
Right.
points.
I just don't know if I ever would have like me. I never would have hit those points. I don't think.
Well, and it's hard too because I think it depends on what like system you put in place for your character. Like, and like I said, it relies on you to follow those tropes because like when you got to the Deacon house, like there was an opportunity to go do it again, but you're like, I don't really need to see Helen, right?
Right.
so,
Right.
and so it's like I mean, if you're not in the mindset that you need to
Well,
turn,
everything points you away from talking to Helen. Like they're like, yeah, she's non-communicative.
Mhm. Yeah,
Like
well,
I just felt like they swayed you very hard away from
well, the
talking to Helen.
The only
So
thing I think that they would probably the reason why you would talk to him is to see the extent of her injuries or to see how she was injured, or maybe you could see if she was bludgeoned or she had wound pattern. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what they're thinking of. But
but I
that's
mean, that was
just
like, wasn't that like 3 weeks ago? Like most of that should be healed.
it was a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't. Yeah. I understand kind of I understand like no, I need to see the victim kind of, but
Mhm.
with them being like, oh yeah, she's 100% non-communicative. She doesn't really talk at all. It's like, oh, well, I can't question her then.
Yeah. And
None of the skills on my sheet are going to make her say anything.
no, it's true, and that's why I said that. I think that there's like, and that's where I think there's like a little bit of hand holding that you might have to do. And like I said, I'll
I
have
could,
my full thoughts.
I could
Uh,
kind of see taking Clara. I could kind of see being like, oh, well, maybe Clara can get through to her because she was offering this religious guidance. Like I can almost see doing that, but that didn't even occur to me because it seems so. I did one of those things where I kind of thought the swerve was, oh, there isn't going to be anything supernatural in this. It's just going to be a noir story, and they
yeah,
just made you think there was going to be
sure.
something Lovecraftian in it, or at the end. Like I was kind of expecting something to happen at the end, something
Mhm.
Lovecraftian, or maybe like happen like right at the end, because some of his stories are like that too, where it's like there's nothing that feels Lovecraftian up until like the last like
2 pages.
three
When all of a
pages.
sudden,
Yeah,
you're getting carried under the mountain by this big bestial ape that's like, "Oh, there were devil apes the entire time," you know?
yeah. Or the Shoggoth comes out of the closet.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I get that, and I think that that's I think that and that's where I get kind of the concept where it's like and so it just kind of like a little debrief, if it's like, how much do you hint at? Because if I would have said so Clara looks at you and she says, "Have you met Helen? I I feel like if she's under duress, I could help her."
right. Yeah, something like
But
that might.
but how much
But
is that like
but I don't even know. I don't even know if that would have got me because like I was like, oh, she's a fraud. I was like, oh, she's there's no Cthulian thing about her. I'm not like she just wants money. I'm not going to take her. I probably wouldn't have taken her Helen.
But
Somebody
see
else might
that,
have.
but that's my point. Is it like how much hand holding do you do? Because like if I dropped really super heavy hints every time, I gave enough hints, I think, in my opinion, that the like those kind of things you could put together. But I don't want to like guide your story so much so that it's like like I'm like,
No,
oh, because then again it turns into that I could easily see how the DM plays this game alone, and then you just kind of show up for a couple scenes.
right. Yeah. No, I think it was fine the way it was. I'm just trying to think of how I would have gotten me personally would have gotten to those places, and I don't know. Like, I mean, I can't. I mean, now I know the story, so in retrospect, it's hard to say. But like,
I don't know. I honestly, I labored to find the balance of how much I should like accentuate certain hints or repeat certain hints and all those kind of things. And it's like, I mean, let you play the story you play, man. I mean,
hmm.
it's fun. It was fun
Is the
either way.
is the path that I followed the path that you're supposed to follow, or did I deviate really badly somewhere?
You
Like,
fall.
are you supposed to get to Mickey and then he gives you Roy's name, or
Yeah, Mickey gives you so like so the interesting thing about this, and we can talk about this more in the debrief episode that we do on this, is that they actually kind of have like a flow chart for how the story
right? I
goes.
figured they did,
But
and that's why kind of what I was curious about.
yeah, and basically how they kind of literally you can if you make enough connections, you can actually skip scenes. Like they
Right,
don't suggest it, but you can skip scenes. So you going from the warehouse to Mickey Cohen is actually a normal progression for it. Um, it's just that the choice being is that do you need to speak with Bud Baron before you see Mickey, or do you need to find about Mickey some other way? And I thought you asking the guard like who gives you this stuff was a perfect way for me to like cut a
yeah, I
bunch
think
of
that worked
crap
out.
out.
So where we could talk about that later. I'm just curious, like it's cool to me that you can skip scenes, like you can
Mhm,
move because I think that's important in a mystery. Is like if your people make leaps of logic that work,
mhm.
that you can skip scenes. I think that's important.
Yep.
I was just wondering how well I followed the trail, basically.
Pretty close. I mean, like, so basically, if you want to know the scene selection that you chose a dame comes in your offer. That's the opening. You went to Typewriter Alley, and then you had where was it? Oh, they don't have this so much. And then you had the Franz Spielman stuff that you had. Um, that you visited that you had there, and then you had the Order of the Silver Light, then you had the Allegria, and then you had the Money Man, and then you had uh, kind of had the Squeeze Artist, but not really, and then you had Mickey Knows a Guy, and then you had the Hole. Now there were other things that you could have done. You could have had, you could have gone and spoke with Guy McAfee. You could have spoke with Bugsy. You could have um, like if you went to the top of the system and spoke with Guy, there's actually a thing where you find an X mixing cop, like there's a few other things you could do that.
Yeah, no,
So
that's cool.
yeah, so I mean it's really elaborate, but I think that's what was intimidating about it at first. But when I think once you get into it, it's like not too bad. But I can see how you could easily go a long time on an adventure like this, like several sessions, if depending on
Right, you're
how
just
detailed.
hunting down the chase. Well, chasing the leads, like it's a
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah. Or how much you role play. I mean, if you role play a lot, you could make this really, really deep.
Right.
So, so that's my story. I'm sticking to it. I enjoyed it. I enjoy
Yeah, it
the
was fun.
system. I enjoy the narrative base of system, and I can't wait to talk about Shadowrun Anarchy in
Yeah,
a couple weeks.
and we'll do a postmortem of this at some point.
Yeah. Happy holidays.
Cool. Happy holidays, everybody.
So with that, we're gonna go ahead and go. We hope everybody enjoyed this Cthulhu Confidential game, and maybe give you some ideas as to how to run it or how not to run it, depending on your perspective.
Or how to play it and not to play it.
Yep. Some thoughts as to how you can trigger maybe certain scenes versus others. But it's a kind of style of game that I really like that I want to get better at. So hopefully I get better and better
Yeah,
as we go.
it was
So
fun. Yeah.
all right.
Thank you,
See you
everybody.
everybody.
Have a good night.